And
All right,
April doesn't
Amanda.
like to toot her own horn, but April's the brains behind all of this. So yes, she is. So this wouldn't happen without her. So. And I was going to say Charicel too, but I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So if we're not, please feel free to correct us. But we do have a wonderful team, and the sandbox is honestly just a time for us to play and learn together. We have a few things that we're going to present just briefly and kind of show you how they could work together. But know that all of these tools, they're virtual tools that you can use in the virtual model, but they're also ones that you can pull into the classroom. So he likes the testosterone. I thought that was pretty funny too. But so you can use these, face to face. You can use these virtually. You can use these in a hybrid model. So it's not just a one and done kind of thing. You can use this whatever suits your fancy. And so I'm going to share my screen very quickly, and then we will get started. Oh, I'm not even on the right screen anymore. So we're going to go there. Okay. And I just have a very brief, I told April I don't really want to do much of a slide presentation today. But before we get started, for those of you that are on, you can either chat it or you can unmute yourself. We're super small today, which is great. For a sandbox, I think we get more accomplished when it's a smaller group. So if you could just let us know, maybe you have some virtual tools you are interested in learning about today. Maybe you had some in mind. If you have a direction you're looking to go, that's kind of what the sandbox is designed for, is so that maybe you've got something in the back of your mind and we can help pull it forward, and we can help you kind of expound on it and maybe give some ideas to other teachers that have joined us today. So if you have any of those ideas, or if you've got a direction maybe you're thinking about going but not sure about, now would be the perfect time to share those. We would love to hear those. So do either one of you have something you've been looking at but you're not quite sure how to pull off?
Well, I was going to type mine, but I'm a little slow at typing. We're trying to use both Nearpod and thinking the other one. I can't think of it right offhand. But what my idea is, I use Unique or News to You curriculum for my life skill students. Yes. Sometimes my technology does not work, and sometimes I have to go to, for me, old school, which is PDF. And I'm trying to fix it to where I could be more specific in my instruction and take PDF documents and make them interactive. Now, sometimes we use Kami. Sometimes I have had Kami work. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm just, how is the quickest way to take a PDF and make it interactive where I'm not jumping through hoops trying to, because what I'm seeing sometimes is I take my document, how it comes down in the PDF, and I have to transfer it to Docs on Google Docs, and then put it into Kami, and then try to give it to my students.
Yes.
I'm just looking at yes, and I'm wondering if there are easier methods to go from point A to point B.
One of the items that we're going to look at today for sure is Jamboard. We've already done a full official training session on Jamboard. I don't know if you've looked at it at all.
I have, but refresher would be great.
Okay, and that's an easy way to kind of take a screenshot of your PDF that you're wanting to work on, dump it in a Jamboard, and then students can work right directly on the Jamboard. Another version of that works very easily too is Google Slides. Google Slides has some features that Google Docs does not. So here in a moment, I can kind of show you what that looks like. And it depends on what you're saying you want it to be interactive. So can you elaborate on that for us just a little bit more so that we know what you're looking for?
Well, with Unique, my students have a way of going in and they can do some of the activities interactive. They can fill in the blanks, or they can drag and drop, cut and paste. I'm wanting to be able to do that with other worksheets. The only thing is we're limited with our PEMI. We're not paying the high
Yeah.
price. So I don't have the quote cut and paste on
Mhm.
it. But is there a way, and I've used Jamboards, but I've used more of slides rather than Jamboards. I use the classroom and I can assign these,
Mhm.
but it's just, we have so many things thrown at us. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to find out what works the easiest and stay focused with that.
absolutely.
Um, because I'm my head starts to spin when we see so many different ways we can do things, and it's like, just show me the best way to do
Yes.
it.
And a lot of that is personality. I mean,
Mhm,
I don't know that there's a best for, cookie cutter, this is the best way to do it. It's
mhm,
what you're more comfortable with, what works better, what your students have access to. So
yeah,
we will definitely look at Jamboard and we will
okay,
look at Google Slides and how maybe we can put some of that together easily for you.
that'd be great.
That's definitely, we'll make sure we touch on that. Um, Jadisel, do you have anything that you're specifically looking for? Or are you just wanting some extra tools?
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to observe because I've been registering this kind of platform because this is my first time to use it. And we have two different platforms. Before, we used to have Ingenuity, and the new one is the Apex. And then since I have been a class most of the time during the seminar, so I usually watch your videos, but I really wanted to know how to navigate this kind of apps because our platform, because most of our students are using Apex. So I think I would like to know how to navigate the things just in case my students will ask me, because sometimes I usually go to our IT in charge to ask about it. And sometimes if I'm in the classroom, if my students will ask me, so I'm kind of trying to tell them we have to discover how we gonna go and something like that. So that's how
Yep.
important this training is for me. But sometimes if you are in the classroom, you cannot really have to attend it in focus because you also have your student in the
Absolutely.
classroom. So I'm so happy that after the training, you will send us the video or the recording so we can watch after class. So that's how important it is to me, because I think during next year we will be using this kind of stuff in our school
I
district.
agree. I don't think it's going away. I honestly believe that now that we've been forced into some virtual engagement with our students, that it's
Mhm.
something it's going to be an expectation now. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think what you mentioned, having to look at your students and say, you know what, I'm learning this too. It's not just, I'm not an expert and you may know more than I do. And
Yeah.
letting them know that we're all guinea pigs together and learning it together and just being honest and open with them and have fun with it. So that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Anything new like this, any technology based that you are learning, be honest with your kiddos and say, hey guys, I'm learning this too. So there's a learning curve, and just learn it together and have fun with it. That is the only reason that I was able to do what April mentioned. And the last 2 years that I taught, my classroom was fully virtual and I taught English. The only thing that my students did on paper was an interactive notebook. And now there's ways to do that virtually. So there are so many tools available to you now. And I just kind of threw this quote in because I loved it. It says, motivate students to take charge of their learning. And I think a lot of the direction that we have in New Mexico right now, you're going to hear terms like MLSS and UDL and universal design for learning and social emotional learning. And there's so many different tools and apps and things out there, just like James, Jocelyn mentioned. It's like, it makes your head spin. There's so much available. So don't try to bite off everything and try to do all of it. Just pick one or two, get comfortable with those one or two, and then add another one until you feel confident that you've got a good repertoire together and you can really help your students gain knowledge in these platforms, because that's the most important thing. It's all about that student engagement. And I don't care really which school district you're in or what state you teach in. We want our students to be successful. We want them to be emotionally stable and mentally stable. We want them to feel confident in what they're doing. And all of that has to do with this. We've got to figure out how to get them to take charge of their learning. And so we have a lot of initiatives pushing forward this year. And I taught English for 15 years. So I kind of default to English examples. But I just wanted to show you before we get started and playing with a bunch of different things. Well, a bunch, I'm going to show you several different things today, that it's okay to give students choice and let them engage and take charge of their learning. And in this virtual world now, more than anything, with all of this, like these tools coming at us, you have options now that you never had before. And so you can put together, and I just threw this together this morning really quickly, and it was kind of fun because I haven't been able to do any lesson planning in a while. But I always taught Romeo and Juliet when I taught freshmen. You know, that's kind of standard core curriculum. You don't mess with it. And so how could you do something virtual, something engaging with your students where they had student choice and still utilize these virtual tools? So put them in groups and say, okay, guys, you've got 3 options. Pick which option you want to do in your group. Let me know. And maybe you say it's first come, first serve. You've got 6 groups. Each project gets picked twice. And so which one do you want to do? And so the first one is using Google Earth. And I'll show you how to do that. It's super simple, and I am by no means the expert. I went in the first time I used Google Earth, I had no clue what I was doing. And I presented it to my students and said, guys, I'll help you however much I can. But we were doing To Kill a Mockingbird. And I wanted them to explore that time period and that era and different things that were going on. So I said, you know what? One of your options for a project is put together a virtual field trip that you can take your classmates on later. And it was their project, their presentation. And so they learned they had to pick something like the Jim Crow laws and follow all of that and follow the history of it and where it went and where the different meetings were held and all of that sort of stuff and all the uprisings. And they've had to track that. So you could do the same thing with Romeo and Juliet. Give them 5 places of interest, connect it to events in the play and things that occurred during the play. So they actually put together a virtual field trip on Google Earth that they could present to their students, or to your students really, and they get to teach the class. They get to give the learning that the knowledge that they've learned, and they do the teaching, because we know we always learn more when we teach it than when we just sit there and absorb it. So that's one option. Another one, and there's so many things you can do with Slidesmania, but maybe you want them to create a presentation that explores the different themes of the play. Let them use Slidesmania to create that. It's a free program. And they can put together a whole presentation that includes the theme, how it connects to events in the play, and they have to use appropriate images to reinforce the theme. And I don't know if you guys see the pictures, but the pictures are over my last one, so I'm going to move them. And the last one was create an interactive experience for your classmates using Jamboard. So maybe they're going to follow the plot. You know, you talk about a plot diagram in English, and they can follow and do a Jamboard that follows that plot diagram, is made it interactive. And so when they present it to the students in the class and they do their presentation, the students are actually on interacting with the Jamboard at the same time they're presenting their presentation. And so there's so many different things that you can do virtually. So I will make sure that we have plenty of time to go over making those PDFs, but I want to show you these very quickly. Google Earth is a really neat program. So these are just 3 ideas that I had. One more that I want to throw out there, and if we have a chance, I'm going to show you, but please write it down in a manual. This is going to be right up your alley. It's called Classcraft. And it is gamification that focuses on PBIS and social emotional learning. And it is an amazing program, and it is basically making your classroom a video game, which we know is what students love to do. It doesn't matter. And they actually earn points for PBIS type initiatives. So for helping others and for showing respect and for different things, they can get points. Or if they've had a rough day, the teacher can go in and take points away. But when they get points taken away, other students can help them out and they gain more points. So it's a really neat tool. So that's one, if we have time, I'm going to show you. But there's so many tutorials on that website that if you are interested in something like that, and maybe that's something that Emmanuel could throw a tech bits together on later, I'm going to throw him in. It's really simple to utilize. And so it's called classcraft.com. And so hopefully we'll have time to look at that too. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of escape here and I'm gonna move this, gonna move some stuff around, guys, I'm sorry. So Google Earth is really easy to find because it's like Jamboard or anything else you do in Google. You have access to it from your Rubik's Cube. And I'm gonna move this down again. Sorry guys, moving stuff everywhere. So your Rubik's Cube up here, some call it, I've had some call it a waffle, so whatever you might call it. If you'll click on that, you can take it to Google Earth. And it populates by how frequently you use them. So this tray here, you may have to scroll down and find it. But Google Earth, there's a lot of things that you can do with it. And there's a lot of field trips in Google Earth that are already created. But you can actually walk around and tour an area, and it's super simple to utilize, super simple to do. And so when it pops up, you've got some options here. And you've got your kind of your tray, your overall kind of options for your Google account. And then you can search, you can do the Voyager, you can create a project, different map styles, you can look at photos, and then you have all of your settings options here, okay? And that they're all here. It's the same items that you have here. So you can search. Voyager is where you go and it's already got things created. So it was the one that looked like, my mind went blank, on a ship. It's not the steering wheel. What is that, guys? Help me. My mind just went poof. But it's this icon right here. And it has already activities created. Okay, so there's games. You can look at nature images and do activities that are nature-based. They have games available. They've got quizzes that are already created. So it's not even asking you to go in and create your own, which you can do. And I'm going to show you how to do really simply, very quickly. But they already have items already created for you. So you can just go pull and add, and it's easy to add to Google Classroom because it's a Google feature. And so it's something that you've already got. They've got one on holiday traditions. So there's a bunch of things that here are already created. You can look at the layered view of things. It'll show you layered images and satellite. They've got time lapses for Google Earth. You can do street views, culture. So they have a bunch of things that follow the culture that's just hitting topics right now. Let's see. They've got items on travel and then education. So look, geometry of a sustainable architecture. There you go. Triangular structures. It sounds like math class to me. I'm not sure I would enjoy that very much, but maybe if I pulled it in from something from Google Earth, it would be more fun. So there's a lot of different tools, once again, that are already created and you can search for simply by clicking the search button here. And you can find a lot of items that you already want, okay? This is the I'm feeling lucky. It's the roll of the dice, and it's going to take you anywhere that it just is going to take you somewhere. And so here, I am not even sure what Naxos is. I have not heard of that, but that's where it takes us. And so it's a Greek island in the South Aegean Sea, the largest of the Cyclades. So it gives you information here. And you can add to this and make a project out of it. You can get more information, or you can click on it and you can actually tour. Maybe it will let me. Maybe not. But you should be able to tour this area. So I'm going to take and hiding all of my features. But you have this down here, kind of your map key, okay? And you have this little guy. It looks almost like a stick figure. So if I take my stick figure guy and I come over here and I drop him, I can drop him anywhere that's blue, okay? And he's not going. Oh, yeah, it's just slow. So it is actually taking me here and I can tour this area, okay? So these come from, if you've ever heard of geomapping for Google, these are geomapping images that people have gone around. Google has a whole list of geomapping things that you can do, and you can go snap pictures, upload them to Google Geomaps. You used to get paid for it. They don't pay you anymore. But so these are pictures that people have geomapped, and you can actually drag this around. You can look at it. You can tour it. You can go anywhere. You can walk in your little guy. Well, this one's not a walking image. Some images don't work as well. But you can tour this, you can look around, you can look above or below. And so you do that just by dropping your little guy on the map, okay? If I click my little guy again, then it takes me to an aerial view. And if I drag him, I click on him and drag him anywhere that's blue, I can go. And so maybe I want to go right here to the traffic circle area. It's going to drop me in that street and I can actually tour the area and I can tour the street. And so it is a really neat way, especially if maybe you're doing a little bit of history, to let your students actually see what these areas look like. And they can tour it and look at it. They can look at the signs, the different languages, different experiences. So it's a really neat, cool feature. Okay, so that's the roll of the dice. If you want to create a project, I have a Romeo and Juliet field trip. Okay, so I created this. And what's cool about it is when you create a field trip here, it's automatically going to save in your Google Drive because it's a Google app. So when you go back, you don't have to hit save every 5 seconds and worry about that you've lost it. All you have to do is go in and open it up, start putting your project together. And when you want to find it again, you'll locate it in your Google Drive. Okay. So this is one that I might put together if I was teaching Romeo and Juliet to my students. And it's just the major places in the play. So it takes me first to Verona, Italy. And what I can do is I can create a place, have them do a tour, connect a Google form to this, and have them answer questions as they go through. And so they could actually do that here. And so if I'm going to click my little guy again, and I'm going to drop it here, there's so much here in Verona that's blue, but it's going to take me to Verona. So this is Verona, Italy. Now keep in mind it's current and the pictures aren't so great because my internet evidently is a little slow. But if I click here, it should take me to Juliet's house. And so my students can actually on their own time come through, see the aerial view of Verona, Italy, and it will take them to all of the places on my map. And my map is just not working because my internet connection is awful. Guys, I'm so sorry. And I can't even see where they are. So we're just going to drop one guy here and see if it'll take us. And so this is Juliet's house. So obviously, you know, we know Juliet, Romeo and Juliet, the story might be based on real people, but this is what they say is Juliet's house if you go tour Verona, Italy. And so the students could actually walk through. And what's really neat is if you go to a museum, a lot of museums, you can actually walk inside the museum using Google Earth and they can take a tour of the museum. Okay, so it's really interesting and it's fun and the kids can get interactive. They can see things, they can get up close, they can read plaques, whatever they want to look at. And it's very easy to do. So I'm going to click edit here and I'm going to go down and I might want to add a new place. I've got Juliet's house, I've got Romeo's, I've got the church, Mantua Romeo went to, but all of my features are not here. Maybe I'm hiding them. And there's always a tutorial here if you're not sure what to do. It's just like everything Google. You can add whatever you need or you can look for whatever you need. You have a way to present to your students. You can share the project. So if you're collaborating with another teacher, you can do that or you can share it in your Google Drive. You also have the load features, the reload, and then always have your more actions, okay? And then you can report inappropriate content. That's important to know that that's there if you're doing something on Google Earth. And so you can delete, they have all of the features, edit, I can edit those, and I can make these whatever I want them to look like. So I'm gonna start from scratch and let me go down here, reset to default, and I am having issues, guys, because of my internet. I'm so sorry. So we're going to create a new project. I'm going to create it in Google Drive. And we're just going to go, let's see, Washington, D.C. Okay, you can add a description if you want, whatever you want to do. They have new features, new features that you can add. You can search to add a place. You can add a place mark or draw a line to it if you want. And students are really good at this. So if we want to go to the White House, I just type White House in, and it's going to take me to the White House. And so now I'm at the White House in Washington, D.C. And I can go to my project here and click here, if it will let me. And it's not going to. Go back to my project. And my features are going away, guys. I'm so sorry.
Do you want to try to turn off your camera, Amanda, and see if?
Let me try
that.
I'm sorry,
okay. Guys. You're fine.
I keep getting the spinning wheel of death, and it's not helping. But it's really cool. So even if you're not wanting to make a project, but maybe you're doing a unit on the White House, you just pick up your little guy and you come over here and drag him here. And it will actually take you, and you can go inside the White House and you can tour the White House. Is that not cool? So students that may never actually get to go to Washington, D.C. and tour Washington, D.C. can actually take a tour of Washington, D.C., the White House in different areas. So it's really simple to utilize, and I'm sorry that this is not working, but anyway, so you have all the different features. You can click your projects, and I don't know where even my project tab went, guys. Places, White House, guided tours. And so here's all of the guided tours that you can actually take in Washington, D.C. They're already created. And well, these aren't even Washington, D.C. These are other ones, but there's some really cool things that you can look at. And remember, they can drop their guy anywhere that's blue, okay? So that's one option that you have. And let's go back to our presentation. Another one that we looked at that I mentioned was SlidesMania. Now, SlidesMania is a really cool free option that you can use for backgrounds. Okay, and you get free tutorials and free different options that you can utilize, and they have some already created for you. So if you're wanting to have some engaging backdrops on some of your maybe your slides presentations, or you want your students to create some, and we get tired of seeing the same thing over and over, SlidesMania has a lot of different activities that you can do. So if you click this education tab, you can see this drop down. There's templates that are already interactive. And there's notebook style manipulatives that are already created. They've got planners, they've got so much. I love this, by educators for educators. So these are things that educators, teachers in the classroom have already created, and you can drag, you can save and put them into a PowerPoint. If you're familiar with PowerPoint, you can put them into a Google slide, or you can put them into a Jamboard, and you can use them in any of those features. And you can see, like, first day of school, a music board game. Let's see, student names, dictionaries, share an aha moment, Valentine's Day meet. So there's a lot of different things, the periodic table of elements that are already created that you wouldn't have to go in and create. You just have to look for them. And you are going to have ads on this because it is a free feature. You can pay obviously a fee to get it without ads, but I just don't do that. They've even got editable flipbooks if you want to keep a virtual flipbook for your students. So there's a lot of really neat resources here. I'm going to come here to education, and let's see, let's try a manipulative. Okay, so you've got weather, you've got jams and slides, there's backgrounds, maybe an interactive template for counting money. That might be a really good one for students. So let's click on that and see what it looks like. And once again, it's super slow today, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can, it kind of gives you an overview. It says it's perfect for elementary school. It's going to give you the background of what it is. It tells you all the information that's there. Obviously, it's Canadian money, so you could, or this one's Canadian money here. You could grab this copy here. They've got euros here, so if you want to work with euros, you can do that. And you can preview it and see if it's something that you want to use. So you don't have to download it to your computer if you don't want to. And so you can drag, you know, everything into your cart, see how much it's going to add up to be here. sorry about that. Drag the items into your cart. Maybe you tell them they've got $25 to spend. And so what can they put in their cart for $25? And you can add all of their grocery list up. Can you calculate the total? And so they're going to do that. Okay. And so they've got all their money. And once again, it's a drag and drop. How do you do that? What does it look like? How do we calculate the change? And so it's already interactive and you don't have to create it. So if you like that, you can download it into a PowerPoint or you can open it in Google Slides and it'll take just a couple of seconds. It has to download. And one more time, it lets you look at it and you say, yes, I like this. I want to use this template. So you can put it into Google Slides. And if it doesn't take too long, we'll do that today. There we go. And so here it is, and you can alter it. So once you get it into Google Slides, you have complete control. So if you want to change some of it, you want to change the amounts, or you want to change the items, you have the ability to do that. So you can come in, and if you want it to say something other than bread and milk and jam, you can change that. If you want to change the amounts over here to something, well, maybe the amounts don't change, but most of them. So it says edit price tags. To edit the price tags, go to the slide edit master and view the slide master PowerPoint. So that's an option. So you can change price tags if these don't seem realistic. And so once you have this, you can share it with your students in Google Classroom. Make a copy for each student, just like you would any other assignment. And now every student has their own copy of this, and they can go through and they can actually put the money in the cash register. It's a drag and drop. They can say, I need to spend $50. They can drop that in there. I need to have this much change. And you drop that down there. And then you just keep going through the process. And you have to kind of coach them the first couple of times. But they can actually type on this too. So they just open a text box. And if you want them to show their work, well, guess what? They have a space now to show their work. And so for Mr. Jocelyn, this might be something that you could put a template together to put your worksheets in and make this interactive and let them show their work here. So SlidesMania has a lot of options already created, but you can also go in and you can create your own as well if you have the time and the energy to do that at this point of the year. But there's so many things already there for you. Another thing I love about SlidesMania, let me go back, is that it has just backgrounds. So say you wanted to do an interactive notebook and you wanted to do it virtually, that's super easy to do. And I've already created one using this one here in Jamboard. And so it's very easy. It's very simple to utilize. And you do the same thing. It shows you all of the options that you have. And different colors, you have different things that you can do with it. You download it into Jamboard, and then your students have interactive abilities. So it'll download into Slides first, and then you can edit it to make it say whatever you want it to say. So say we wanted to use this one, I've got to go down and find the template, download it in Google Slides. We know we like this template, so we're going to utilize that in Google Slides. Give it a second to pop in there. So it says my mini journal. Well, maybe I want it to say Amanda's mini journal for me because my name is Amanda, but maybe you want to leave it blank so that when your students get this in their Jamboard, they can actually edit it themselves. So you're going to download this eventually once you have it all edited. So you give it the spot here, you come here, you might change this. You're going to change the date to whatever the date would be. Or you could just say date and the students could enter the date because they'll be able to do that. You might put a title here. Maybe it's an overview of something that you've learned. You can actually record an audio message and let them hear the message directly from you as the teacher. Different ways to say hi to your students, and then give them a checklist for the day. And they can actually check the checklist off once you get it into Jamboard. And so you would go through and edit the slides, add whatever you want it to say here, give your students the directions that you may not like this slide. So maybe you don't want this slide here. You can either move it just like you would anywhere in Google Slides, or maybe you just want to delete it altogether. You can do that. You have that ability. You have full, total, complete control. It's just providing you the background and the elements that are already created. Once you have it already where you want it, it's going to download one slide at a time. That's the only frustrating feature. And so, and you can only get one slide at a time into Jamboard. So you just click File and you can download the slides. You want to download them as a JPEG image if you're going to do this in Jamboard. Okay. And so it's downloaded, and I'm just going to go back to my Rubik's Cube up here. If I'd quit hitting the right click, that would be great. And I'm going to go into Jamboard. And as you can see, it's already here. And because I've already done one, but I'm going to create a new Jamboard. So it's that plus sign on the bottom. Once again, I click that right click. And it's going to be slow again. Okay, well, maybe there we go. And Jamboard's a pretty simple feature to do. And we have a full kind of TechBits presentation already on our TechBits website that April's going to give you access to in a minute that will show you how to utilize Jamboard. So I'm not going to go through all the features right now, but to set your background, you just click background and come here to upload your image. And I am going to browse my computer because I just downloaded it. And let's go to download, let's see, pictures. And Emmanuel, where did it download to? It is not there. I don't know. We're just
go to your cancel.
I downloaded it as a JPEG. Where did it go?
Probably your Google Drive.
No, it was a JPEG. It should be a picture file, but it is not there. So we're going to work off one that's already there, but you should be able to do that. Or you can search your Google Drive. You can see I'm in my, oh, because it's in my personal one. Why is it in my personal drive?
Try to download it again and let me see really quick.
Because I'm in my personal drive.
Oh.
I don't know why. And we're not going to do that right now. Well, guys, we're just going to say that works. We can put it in our Jamboard. I don't know why it's not working. So let's go back to Jamboard. It's the wonderful thing with technology, you got to roll with it. So this is the same one that we had. So if we had our titles in there and I had edited this, students can actually create their sticky note. They can add a text box and answer all the questions in the text box. They can draw it wherever and follow the directions that I gave them to do. So that's something that's already created for you that you don't have to go in and create, okay? Now to get to what Mr. Jocelyn was talking about and wanting to upload his own, which it's going to my personal, not sure why it's doing that, but we're going to create a blank Jamboard. So this is uploading your own PDF, okay? And I may have to go find one since I'm not getting access to my work account. So let's go Romeo and Juliet. Worksheets in a PDF format. So there we go. Find an image really quickly. And say I had a graphic organizer. Maybe this is what we were working on. And so, oh, it's a Teachers Pay Teachers. Let's find something that I can just get really quickly. And of course, they're all in Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a wonderful resource, but okay, we're gonna pretend that we can take a screenshot. I have all of these downloaded in my Gmail, and since Emmanuel worked on my computer last week, I don't have access to that anymore. So we're gonna take a screenshot. And this is not a great one. Let me find another one. Okay, so, and none of these are great. They're hard to see, but we'll just pretend. So to upload your own PDF file, you would just open your PDF. And I have the snipping tool, and I love the snipping tool. I use it all the time. If you don't have that, you can just take a screenshot. I'm going to click that new button. And I'm gonna, well, maybe click a new one. In April, nothing is working today. But I would take a snip of this and see if I can't.
On a Mac, it would be Command-Shift-4, I believe.
I got it.
Okay, you got it. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not
know
sure
what is going on today, guys, and I apologize. Okay, we're gonna take it one more time. Take a snip of this. It's actually really simple to do, I promise. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna go into my Untitled Jam and hit paste. I'm gonna paste it in here. And so when I paste it in here, students can now that it's in the Jamboard, and I can rotate it, I can make it as big or as little as I want. I could add multiple pages. And so I would probably make one the size of the page and then give them some directions maybe on the side and tell them what to do. And they could move items around. They could attach a sticky note and make a note. They could add a text box over here. So say this had a question that they needed to answer in each box. They would click that text box feature right here, and they would come and they could draw their text box and answer the question. And so that might be a really quick and easy way to do that if you really wanted to do something off of a PDF. Another thing that we have in here, and this actually is a template that we have in our Jamboard presentation, but this is a way the students would hit Control-D to duplicate the box below, and then they're going to highlight the part of speech and sentences that are provided. And so when they come to this next page, they want the noun. So they're going to highlight it, hit Control-D for duplicate. They have another slide and they're looking for the noun. Well, the noun is fox. And so this is interactive. They get to duplicate it, bring it over the fox. We want the verb. And so they would just go through and they would hit Control-D for duplicate. They get another box and the quick brown fox jumps. And jumps is the verb. And so, you know, you would just have access for this. And so we have a template in our Jamboard presentation that has access to a lot of these types of templates. It's a link in our presentation that you're going to have access to if you go to that TechBits page. And so what that's done is in this one, they've recreated the same one, and each student has their own page. And so each student is assigned a number, starting with a number 2, because teacher is always number 1. So this would be the teacher's page to demonstrate, and it's the same page over and over. And that's because April is assigned page 2. And so April would go to page 2 and she would do hers. And Emmanuel is assigned page 3. And so this would give the teacher the ability to go back through and very quickly know which student was assigned which page. And so every time they do an activity in Jamboard, every student is assigned the same page if it's going to be an individual group. Okay, so that's a really easy way to access that. Going into slides, I know you've mentioned that you've utilized slides before to add in your PDFs. So I'm gonna get rid of the text boxes here. And I did this a lot when my son was doing Edgenuity and we couldn't upload his assignments very easily. And so on his computer, we'd go to File and we would go to Page Setup. Page Setup is actually going to let you customize the size of the page. We need to do it 8.5 by 11, like their actual worksheets. Apply that to the screen. And so that actually makes your Google slide the size of a regular notebook page, okay? And so say this was the activity or the image that he was working on in class, and I wanted to copy the whole thing. So this might be whatever PDF that you have. We're going to take a snip or a screenshot, whichever you have access to, of the whole page. We're going to copy that. That copy button again. We are going to go to our presentation and I'm going to paste that in here and I'm going to make it the same size as my 8.5 by 11. So now I've got this in here. Now, if you want your students to work on this page, the best thing to do before you assign it to them is go to File, and I'm going to just do practice. I know what it is, but I'm going to go to File, and I'm actually going to download this as a PDF, or you can download it as a JPEG. So let's see where this file is going this time. I'm just going to open it here. Okay. And so I have it here. And so what I'll do is I'll go back into Google Slides, and I don't want it to be edited. I don't want the students to be able to move it or anything. So I would actually make this one my background on my slides presentation. And so now students can come in and they can answer the questions by adding a text box. Just gonna type that there. They could, if it was, they needed to connect them, they could actually draw a line to connect, you know, so you can connect the boxes there. If they were highlighting information, they can go over and they can do the highlighting just the same way they would do that. As always, they can make comments here. So if they were working on it and they wanted to answer in the comment feature, maybe they were collaborating with another student, they could share this document with the student they were collaborating with, and they could work together through the comment feature here. So there's a lot of ways that you can get these documents and make them interactive, get students engaged, and also let them collaborate with other students in the classroom.
And Amanda,
yes,
I just want to interrupt really quickly. It is 12:24.
Yes.
So I'm learning a lot, but I didn't know if anybody had any specific questions that they needed to work through today.
You caught me right as I was about to do the same thing. So I was about to ask Mr. Jocelyn if that kind of answered a little bit of what he was looking for.
Yes, it did.
I hope so. It was a lot at once, but.
It is, but you know, it's some of those things that we've been working. That's kind of what I needed, was just somebody to kind of walk us through it. That's a little higher than some of my students, but the concepts are still there.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of making it usable for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I needed.
Okay, good. I'm glad that helped.
Yes.
Does anybody else have anything? So I was just going to show you really quickly, if you are interested in Classcraft, you just go to classcraft.com and you'll click that you're a teacher. And this is that gamification one that I was mentioning. And it is really a neat program. I wish that I had known about this very much. They're integrating it. If you are a PBIS school, right now, they have recreated Classcraft so that it focuses on PBIS and social engaged students. Their tutorials are pretty thorough, and I'm gonna say, Emmanuel, this is probably right up your alley. And so learning how to utilize this in the classroom, and it's very easy because I got in and in 10 minutes, I was playing in Classcraft. So if this is a direction that you might be interested in, they've got a ton of tutorials, a ton of videos. It is something that you could honestly jump in and start using within probably 30 minutes of your time. And so it's another resource that we have that's available.
I wonder if Robin knows about it or uses it. Do you know, Robin Cook?
Because the last time I looked at Classcraft about 6 months ago, they weren't focusing on PBIS and SEL. So this is a new direction that evidently they've realized is needed. And so they've redirected the gamification of it and the activities to focus on that PBIS and SEL component. So I was really impressed when I went back in. I was playing with it. My boys came and sat down. They're like, Mom, why are you on a video game? Like, they thought it was really cool. So.
Oh, yeah, I'll take a look at it. So.
And so once again, it's free, and they do a lot with you, and it integrates directly into Canvas, into Google Classroom, all of those things. So.
And Emmanuel, since you're going to check it out, do you want to connect with Robin?
I can send it to her too. That's no big deal.
Or Amanda, whoever would like to do. Okay. Yeah, just to give her a heads up, because she could probably utilize that. We're a pretty tight group here at Region 9. So we really, if we know what each other work, you know, what we do. And if there's a technology to complement that, we want to make sure that we share it with one another.
Yes.
So, Sharcelle, do you have anything, or Joseph?
I just would like to thank you for the information that you showed to me, especially the Google slide. Is when our students will make a presentation. So a kind of, I'm hesitant to do it with them because I don't really know how to do it. And the thing right now that I've learned is that you showed it to me how to customize the what do you call that one, the slides, before they will attach it to Edgenuity, because that's one thing that I observe with my students in Edgenuity, because if they send you something and then they have that Word document, and then when they send it to you, because they don't know how to edit that one, so that's the problem, because when it reached to your end, there's only the questions, what is written in that document, but there's no answer.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I've learned from now, and I'm so thankful, Miss Amanda, Miss April, and Mr. Manuel for sharing that to us, and I've learned a lot this morning. Hopefully to see you next time, and I would like to learn more about this. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. And April's going to give you guys the link, if she hasn't already, to our Tech Bits page at Region 9. And we have a ton of other videos that have gone over Google Slides, or a lot of, you know, we've done one on Jamboard, we've done one on Pear Deck. So there's a bunch of different trainings that we already have recorded that you guys can access through that link. And it also tells what our upcoming ones are too. So.
Okay.
I think she's doing that now. Well, it is 12:30, April. So if anybody, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
And I'm going to stop recording at this time as well.